What's up, y'all? You know the deal. Another Friday, another live stream. I'm going to give it a little bit, let some people filter in before we really dive into everything. We got some fun could you, should you, some nice updates. So we're going to go ahead, get into those. Of course, the beautiful Jeff car. Gorgeous car. Arturo's doing work on it as per usual. Getting her suited, booted, ready to go. Oh, baby, there's a lot more done than last time, I tell you that much. Look at that. Arturo making it look easy. So, up there, come down yonder, go over there, and then the old exhaust all the way back, baby. So, simple. Fun setup, makes a ton of power, goes real fast. It helps that it's purple. Purple cars go faster. What's up, Josh? When you bring your car into rapid purple cars go faster. That's word on the streets. So this one hopefully will have some more pretty shortly, but she is in the getting closer. I don't want to say final stages because there is still some stuff to wrap up on it, but it is a lot closer than you saw it last time. Engine's back in, turbo kits pretty much all there. The sun is just coming in and blinding the camera. Sorry. What's up, Ray? Long time no see. So let's see what else we got. Little helium box, did a turbo swap. I am back out in the shop now, y'all. I am not in the office. If you call in and try and speak to Tulo, too bad. I am not there. What I am is I am installing an inner chiller. Right here, I'm installing an inner chiller on Doug's car. Goes up yonder. I still got some stuff to do. I have to install the three-way switch, valve, whatever you want to call it. Up there, I got to figure that one out. So it'll be probably somewhere up here in some orientation, but gotta love an inner chiller. Great way to keep consistent coolant temps. Don't have to worry about heat soak. I mean, we just ran our car in the staging lane with the inner chiller on, cooled seats. I mean, it was great. So if you're on the fence about it, definitely a great idea. I see Jeff in here. I'll go back to your car shortly. I didn't know how much you saw, but anyway, inner chillers, they're the best. They are the bee's knees. Can't get enough of them. So this is what I've been working on. Haven't been in the shop. If you guys have called in, sorry, I'm out here now. So you need to find a more direct way to find me. Let's come over here just for Jeff. Brings it down. In intercooler coolant temps, not like engine coolant temps. It's for the air charge. So for like an air to water setup, those inner chillers are key. How's it going, Turo?
Fantastic.
Got your hands wedged up in someplace?
In this car all the time.
Oh, man. We like them tight, though, so. Oh, baby. All right. Thank you, Arturo. Let him get back to what he was doing. Keep moving and grooving. Don't want to distract him too much. Stole that right from Cooley, that moving and grooving, but you learn from the best. So, got a car over here. Initially came in for a level 1, a health check. Bought it used. There were some mods on it. Really didn't know what was going on with it. So we start these off with a health check to make sure that we know what's going on with them. We want to make sure that compression is good. We want to make sure there are no intake leaks. We want to make sure that she is solid before we go into it. So we made sure everything's good. This car is very, very healthy. In talking to the gentleman, he ended up wanting to switch to the level 1. So we are swapping spark plugs. We're going NGKs, going a little bit tighter on the gap for the boost. We really weren't a big fan of how the plugs looked, so we just wanted to switch them. We are doing our 286 clutched upper pulley, and then the thermostat. This customer already has a catch can, so he does not want one. But yeah, our super simple setup. That is that, 100, 160 plus horsepower gains. So, yeah, let us know, baby. This red. Hubba. Fill that coolant. Putting that coolant level on blast all over the internet, y'all. All right, let's go see what John's up to. What up, John? What you doing?
Twin turbos, baby.
See those hands. We got helium kit. Look at those dirty hands. Making progress, though. Gotta love it. So, Billet Evo can. If you know, and you've been around, you know what this means. Helium twin turbos on this cat. We got our 286 single-sized upper on there. So this car is going to be fun, man. I can't wait. I love these Challengers when they're turboed. I just like Challengers in general. I think that's the one I need next. I got the Magnum. I got the 300. I either need a Charger or a Challenger. Man. And this part, peanut butter guts. So we clean off the camera. It seems a bit dirty. All right, let's see what else we got. Jeep. More progress has been made on the turbo kit. Let me pull this out yonder. Take you over here. I don't know if he wants me to show this, but I will because he's not here to tell me otherwise. So this is the new turbo manifold. We're getting together. When is that thing getting done? Welder comes in when he can, so it's one of those. She is making progress, so hopefully shortly we'll have a fun video on that. Make some numbers. Get out there. Have fun with it. WK1 love, baby. Parts aren't available as much as they used to be, but speak to the choir, so fun stuff. Let's see what else we're working on. I got a car over here. We're doing a safety check. Deep inspection on before we go. We have another one. We're getting into wiring. Something interesting here. Might have talked about it before. Might not have. Memory's kind of fading, so I don't want to say nothing. But something's going on. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful cinnamon stick. Good Lord. This color does things to me. Look at that. Of course, getting our powder coat on. We like to keep everything in-house as much as possible. That means we even powder coat our own pulleys. We like to keep it all in-house, all under one roof. Gives us better control, better quality assurance. So that's the way we do it. You know, relying on others. Sometimes, I mean, you've seen it with parts where we have to wait weeks and weeks at a time because parts are getting delayed. We can't be having that. So we do it ourselves. Powder coat guns there. Just small stuff, you know. Don't send us wheels to powder coat. We just do our own stuff. But it's nice to have. So let's see what else we got. Just that inspection I was talking about. Blackwing came back for a little extra love. Looking so shiny. Let's get out and take a look at this thing, because I don't think I showed it to y'all in the sun. Ooh. And don't forget, while I'm yapping my mouth, please drop could you, should you, would you questions in the comments. Could I turbo my minivan? Yes. Could I do twin turbos on a single cab short bed Ram? Absolutely. Talking to you, Wade. Look at this thing, though. Look at that shine. God, I'm ugly. But the shine is gorgeous. Hubba hubba. Dropping viewers. I think I might have lost connection. Whoops. I'm not going to go in this way. John's Camaro. Could you, should you buy a DSM? Could you? Yes. If you want to spend all your money and never really get it, you know, driving, maybe. But I can't talk. I love DSMs. I love my Eagles. If I didn't have the Magnum, I would have one. So, you know, what else do we have? What else do we have? Or is it time for the could you, should you? Let's see. Trackhawk motor way back there, still for sale. I'm doing the whole my garage, but that is for sale. Trackhawk motor. Put it in something. Your dad has a V6 Charger? Buy it. Put it in it. He won't know. Let's see what else. 4G is awesome. Yes, let's get the project turbocharger. Yeah, we need to do some with the Ram. We need to make Cummins parts. I know. I don't know why everyone that we know has Cummins parts. Also, the other thing we have for sale that we haven't posted as much about, and excuse the mess, we are moving with the machines. We have a Trackhawk full front subframe. Diff, shocks, brakes, spindles, steering rack. It's all there. If you need a Trackhawk subframe, you got a 5.7 Summit or something like that, hit us up. We could probably cop a deal with the subframe and the motor. So the dog's going crazy. I'm going to check with Jeremy, see if he's, looks like he's talking to someone. But we'll go in there soon. Let's see what else just before I do it. Oh, of course. How could I forget? That green. I see it peeking through the door. I keep looking at it. This wrap is killer. Matt did such a good job with it, man. If you guys are here debating on switching up your color, whatever you may have. We do wraps, ceramic coats, PPFs, you name it. We can probably get it done for you, baby. So let us know. We can make something happen special. So let's go in. Let's see what's up with Jay. I think he's talking football. You talking football, Jay? All right. Could you, should you join a flag football team?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. I'm going to leave you over there.
Yeah, we'll go over here because we're going to do remote tuning and discuss. All right, what's going on, everybody? So, what was it? Back in January when we were in Florida, we would you lose? You can go. That's fine. We discussed. We had a car ride. We were talking about remote tuning, questions and answers we see, and so on and so forth. So. We're going to revisit it. 6 months go by. Some people used to not chime into our lives. Now they are. Or it's just good to sometimes bring subjects back up. Let's get to it's very important because what you got to understand and what this is about is the expectation for both the tuner and the customer, right? It's very important. So we're going to hit on a couple things and just kind of go over experiences of what I see to kind of help you understand. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to calibrate the PCM to match the modifications you have done to your vehicle. There's so much that goes into it. Sometimes hundreds of tables have to be changed in the tuning software. So what I'm going to show you is some of the things I see as a tuner, especially remotely, and the reasons why it's not always the tuner's fault, right? Or what you have to understand in regards to what the tuner is capable of doing on his end. So, we are limited by the programs that we provide and the data that we get. So, myself specifically in my tuning, I'm very specific on my directions, what I'm looking for from a data log. Don't think about it more, don't think about it less. What I tell you to do is all I need. And there's reasons for it, whether it's verifying setup, verifying it's mechanically sound, verifying there's nothing wrong on either end, software-based, whatever the case may be. Listen to your tuner. If they know what they're doing and they're telling you what to do, just follow their steps. We have to start from square one. We didn't build most of the cars were remote tuning, right? Most of the time, I've never met some of these people, never seen their car, and I never will. So we have to take baby steps. So it might take longer than in person. Now, a rule we have here is I will not take in and tune a vehicle in-house if I didn't build it unless I start remote tuning first. And this is the reason why. Part of what goes into tuning is we need a vehicle that's mechanically sound. So what that means is, everything's nice and tight. There's no leaks, whether it's exhaust or vacuum, both on the intake side. Everything is hooked up correctly, all sensors, no check engine lights, and things like that. So this is one of those things where I'm going to show you kind of some examples on the computer of what I see from a base data log and why it's not the tuner's fault. Now, understand what we're putting into a file we send you is the years, hours, days, whatever, depending on the experience, what we have into it in regards to a base file. A base file doesn't mean it's ready to go rip down the road. Right. This is generic settings based on the information you provide and what we see. So we're going to check to make sure it's mechanically sound first before we move forward. Now, you got to also understand, just like anybody, right? When they provide a service for you, you get provided a tune file that has thousands of hours built into it. So it might not be a completed tune, but we still put everything we have into that base file to get you going, okay? So what I'm going to show you is the example of a first tune file sent over to somebody, and it's supposed to be mechanically sound, and I'm going to show you what I see so you guys can get an understanding of why this vehicle is not mechanically sound and it's going to inhibit my ability to tune the vehicle. So what we are going to focus on is right over here. And then right down here, okay? So these are the field trims. This is just an idle log. This is a Hellcat swapped 300. So what this is called here is a histogram. So this records the amount of counts or times these parameters were hit, okay, in regards to the data log. So this is about a 2-minute data log. So this is the average fueling that is needed in this given window, okay? So what this is showing me is 15, 17, 18% fueling is needing to be added, which is going to be down here, okay? Now, you can see that we have a long-term and a short-term offset there, but that's just for this given window. Because as you see, as I go down further, it actually gets worse. So it's a combination of the short and the long-term fuel trims. Okay, now what I'm going to do is switch over to the passenger side, and you can see, bam, all right, automatically it goes red. You can see those numbers are negative now, which match down when you add these two together. So what I have here is a bank-to-bank variance. So what this means is that this O2 sensor reading is telling me that one side, the driver's side, is requiring 15-20% more fueling than the passenger side. Okay, if an engine is put together correctly, that's not possible. I mean, it's possible, but it's not good, right? So there's several things this could be. One, it could be a true reading, right? That means that one bank is requiring more fuel than the other. You have an engine problem. Two, it could be what we call a false air reading or a false lean condition. So this is the O2 reading, meaning it's recording the oxygen that's going through the exhaust. So an exhaust leak can cause a false lean condition. A vacuum leak can cause a false lean condition. Now naturally, if you have a vacuum leak, generally what you'll see is both banks, for the most part, not always, but both banks will generally be lean. You're going to see a higher idle, and you're going to see is sometimes negative timing as this thing is trying to close the throttle and pull power out of it to bring the idle down. Okay, so on this particular vehicle, you know, with the coolant temp being where it is, the idle's on the higher end. Timing is doing what we're looking forward to doing. It's not super negative. So my gut is going to tell me that we have a false lean condition on the exhaust side. So I will advise as a tuner, you know, what I think it is, but I don't know. I can't tell you through a computer what's wrong with your car, especially if there's no check engine lights. You know, we can go off of those. Here's a history of what codes might be present at any given time. Sometimes we don't always see that. So that's, again, you have to relay to your tuner if your check engine light's on as well. But what this is telling you is you can't always blame the tuner, and you can't go to them and ask them to fix this in their tune. This is not what we're here to do. We're not fixing mechanical defects in a tune. So this is a great example of a vehicle. Again, I'll go back. You can see how positive that is after it learns a little bit. Negative. And all I'm doing is switching between driver's side bank and passenger bank. So like I said, that's 15, 20, 25% at any given time of a bank-to-bank variance. This is not the tuner's fault. You can't blame them and can't expect them to fix it, right? So what I'm also going to do now, another instance we see, so I'm going to jump over. So this is, we're just going to use a basic histogram here for a Hellcat VE. So during the process of tuning, we see, all right, so we got, you know, a little rich here, not bad, single digits for the most part. Sometimes, like where you see a big hit like that, if I go to the counts, right, it only got hit 9 times. That's not an accurate reading, it's just in a transition. But single digits, pretty close to this vehicle being dialed in. This is not a completed tune. This is, you know, almost there. No tuning file was sent. We had an issue with some misfires. They did some work, and all of a sudden, this is what we have, okay? As you saw, I simply just switched. This is just 2 different tune files. So nothing tuning-wise changed, and all of a sudden we go from where we had the highest lean condition of about 5-6%, where we're in the double digits now. If you respond to the tuner and go, well, are you going to send me a new file? No. I mean, what just happened here? Something mechanical changed, and, you know, now we have to figure out what you changed to cause this, because before I start adding fuel to it, we have to make sure this is an accurate reading. How do we go from where it was a little rich and almost dialed in to double-digit corrections with no tuning file change? That's a mechanical change. So, you know, this comes down to, like I said, what we can do as a tuner, we can make adjustments, absolutely, and that's where we start with, you know, accurate injector data, proper VE tables and flows to those, you know, having all the correct information mechanically. But as you saw, a tuner can't fix these type of mechanical issues, and for your expectation to be that, tuning is different than mechanical. That's why I have mechanics, and that's why I have tuning, right? So to expect that this tuner is going to be able to fix it for you is not fair, and to continue to kind of hold them to a standard in which they are supposed to fix it and advise you and tell you what to do next. You know, I hear everybody, ask your tuner, ask your tuner. Why are you going to ask your tuner if they didn't build it, right? If they're the one that built it and tuned it, Absolutely. But when it comes to mechanical stuff, sure, we have experience, and a good experienced tuner is going to help advise you and give you some hints. But to ask what's the next step, you need proper diagnostic, and then that's not going to be handled via email. Or we get videos all the time of, hey, what's this sound?
It's just sound. There's nothing like really definitive. You don't
Right.
really know. It's just there's a car running.
Right, and especially from cell phone videos and things like that, I'm not going to have the highest quality sound to be able to diagnose it. So, the expectation that tuners can fix all be all. I get it. We get we get the good and the bad, right? When we tune a car, it drives great, and the previous tuner couldn't. We're the hero. If a motor blows up or it drives like crap, it's the tuner's fault. I can tell you, yes, I'm the tuner on these specific vehicles, and they're probably not going to drive well. Is it my fault? No, and that's just having that expectation of what tuning is. You don't, and using outside world, experiences from different angles, right? I'm going to tell you, you don't go to a plumber and then ask them for electrical advice. And it's kind of just the way it is, right? You don't have them in your house doing some plumbing work, and then you bring up, oh, by the way, I had this thing where I plugged into an outlet and it acted funny. Yeah. What do you think it is?
Well, you're in here. Can you check out my lawnmower?
Right. So I know that's a drastic, but it's kind of the same thing. There are some tuners out there that don't wrench and have no idea how to wrench, right? They're real smart with computers. They understand the dynamics of an engine. They understand what they're trying to seek, and they're able to tune a vehicle very well, and they understand basic, fundamentals, right? But it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to tell you why the tune was bad, or why is it throwing a cam crank correlation. What is wrong? Well, you have a cam crank correlation code. The amount of times I get a base tune file, banks are off, and then we go through basic diagnostic and finally get it to run just from trying tricks, right? And all of a sudden it throws a cam crank correlation code. Can you fix that in a tune? Nope. We can't.
Take it apart.
Now, what are we supposed to do as a tuner? I have 20 tuner visions to them before it idles to find out the cam crank correlation timing was off. Is it fair to the tuner in the business we just spent all that time diagnosing something else that another shop did? I'll tell you this, not many people want to pay me for the time I have into diagnosing a car for them I didn't build. So it's just having that respect, that understanding, you know what I'm saying? I have another one that right now I'm tuning for another shop. Every data log I get from them, under 1100 RPM on decel, high vacuum area, super lean. Super. I'm talking 10% lean. Every time I send them a file, I'm adding 10%. Well, guess what? Every file they're getting from me, all of a sudden it's running worse and worse at idle. But it's still showing a 10% lean condition. What do we think it is, right? It's a false lean. And the problem is I relay that, ask them what they want me to do, and I give them what they want because they don't understand. Well, now it's running like crap. Well, what do you expect, right?
Yeah.
I had another customer that a shop installed a cam.
Are there tuners out there that try and BS their way through a tune?
Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh. Stirring the pot.
Yeah, stirring the pot. So I had another customer who's inexperienced. Another third-party shop installed a cam for him. Like I said, my rule is I won't bring it in-house until we remote tune. Remote tuning it, and we're having a ghost throttle issue, high idle, and timing being negative. I told them every time, I'm pretty sure you have a vacuum leak. They took it back to that same shop two times, and they told them, nope, no vacuum leak, nothing here. Everything is mechanically sound, it's your tuner, right? So the finger pointing happens. Again, I'm just relaying the data that I'm seeing based on the sensors on the car. So either the sensor's wrong or there's something it's reading that's not right. So I finally had the customer bring it in. Sure enough, within 5 minutes, we put a smoke machine on it. All of the fittings at the catch can were leaking. Actually, you're the one that found that, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
they were just going
billowing
crazy.
smoke, right? So all of a sudden, we fixed that, and then what happens? The car is pig rich because all the fuel I was adding in it barely ran, so now I have to start over. Got it good, to the point where it's running again. Put it on the dyno, wide open throttle pull by 3,500 RPM, starts breaking up. My dyno wouldn't even record the graph. Pull the spark plugs out of it. They were OEM spark plugs gapped they were cold.
Yeah.
They were one step colder.
And they were gapped.
They were one step
large.
colder, and they were gapped over 055.
And they're kind of nasty looking.
And naturally,
Yeah,
they were too
there's
cold. So somebody put in one step colder plugs on a cam only car, and then gap the plugs way over, factory spec. So again, my time was spent tuning this car, having issues, and then all of a sudden we put proper plugs in and fix the actual vacuum leak. I tuned that thing quick.
Weren't created by us.
Right.
We were.
Right. So again, expectations for the tuner and the shops you take it to, and then you as a consumer, having that understanding, that respect. Time is money. Busy is good, right? I love being busy, but at the same time, we got to understand I'm not just tuning your vehicle. I'm not just working on one vehicle. I have to distribute what I can to others. So when all of a sudden I'm 20, 30 revisions in your car diagnosing it, if we ask for, diagnostic repair and consultation fees and stuff like that, how can you be surprised or upset with us when we're the ones spending the time with you trying to fix a car that we didn't build, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, tuners aren't perfect. I will tell you that. There's a lot, and it is, you got to know what you're doing, and it's still to this day, I'll be honest, I am learning still too. You got to understand that as new calibrations come out, as new years come out, as they develop new technologies, we are all still learning. And from the Hemi community, it's still a very new industry when it comes to tuning. I will tell you, a 22, 23 does tune different than a 2016. And for anybody that doesn't understand that, you got to, that's the whole complexity, and that's why there's not a lot of Hemi tuners that do know what they're doing. I will always say I am learning on every day of what I do. Combinations are changing, products are coming out that are it's a constant learning game. So there's no such thing as perfection, but understand that for a business, especially a small business like ours, to keep the door open, we do have to be compensated for our time, and understand when you pay for a tune, you're paying for a tune. You're not paying for mechanical, you're not paying for diagnostic. If you were, the price would be 1,000,000 times higher, and you'd be billed hourly, and some tuners might do that. There you go. It's an ever-evolving industry. 30 years of tech experience, somebody said.
Still learning.
Still learning. And that's what you have to have, an open mind into learning. That's why I don't give up on tunes. I'm seeing stuff I haven't seen. More shops come out with cam profiles and, injector combinations and ways to run fuel systems and different strokes, bores, whatever the case may be. We are all here together to learn, and we have to all take responsibility where we can. Just understand when you hire a tuner, they're tuning for you, okay? They're a tuner for you. So just respect that and understand that you might think, it took 5 minutes to respond to the email. Well, when it's 20 emails multiplied by you're getting the knowledge and experience we have from the decades of what I've done, it's just compensate accordingly, and don't get upset if we request compensation for that.
And that's one customer. So compound that with the amount of people we tune each day.
Yeah.
How many emails did you come into today?
I had 62 emails today.
62 emails. So even if only, 10 of them, that's still a significant amount of time that Jeremy is spending per person. Then he has to go to the next person, spending more time. That just compounds.
And this isn't just me. This is anybody. This is having that understanding and that expectation for other tuners. I'll be honest. I'm looking right now for you guys, and I know some of you are waiting still. I came into a ton of emails. I haven't even answered all of them from yesterday. I still have 20 emails to respond to for remote tunes. Now I have tunes in-house I have to do street tuning, and then if it turns into I'm not tuning for you and I'm answering questions on mechanical issues or what do I think it is, and you're not understanding or willing to compensate for that, then, it's one of those, it's that expectation. And sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes some time. And like I said, it's all part of the learning. So understand we are going to learn together. I'll be honest, I have a customer that's going to be coming in for the dyno portion of it, but I'm like 37 revisions into his cam tune, and it's weird things that I haven't seen before. It's and again, not a profile, it's not a cam that I made, it's somebody else's, so it's having characteristics we haven't seen before. We're 30-something revisions in. But also remember, from remote tuning, I can flash 30, 40 revisions. It takes less than a minute to flash a revision in person. So what that means is I can flash 40, 50 revisions in an hour sitting in the vehicle. Now spread that over, email back and forth, or there might be limited data where you have to get something else. It's one of those things. That's, again, having the understanding. The data and the information you provide only allows us to work so quickly. When we request a 15-minute data log and you send a 2-minute data log, and it takes 2 days for us to get that back and forth, it's going to feel like it's taking a long time. Some will be quick, some will not. It's just the nature of the beast. One of the pains is the multiple calibrations that are out there from Hemis. even though there's still a Hemi and it's the same year vehicle, the calibration responds different to different type of combinations. So bases start, we have our bases, right? Some call them templates, some call it a base program where we, duplicate settings from before and then we continue to tweak from there. It doesn't always work the same, right? And every vehicle is different. So having this understanding and the respect for what is going into it goes a very long way for the relationship. And every customer is not meant for every tuner. I will tell you, I will make power without the sacrifice of reliability. Okay, so you can sit there and say I make slow vehicles or whatever the case may be. My vehicles, I want them to live. I want them to last. So do I have people out there riding on the edge? They know and they have that disclosure, but I don't care, and it doesn't affect me if you hear I'm not the fastest. That's fine, guys. I don't care. I've done the record chasing. I'm over that. I want to be able to enjoy these vehicles. So, like I said, not every customer is meant for every tuner, every shop. So it is what it is. So that's pretty much what it is. Keep questions coming away and some more for the remote tuning. Let's get into could you versus should you. So
all right, first one, and I saw it pop up from Mr. Jeff. If you have injectors that aren't flowing properly, should you replace, clean, or just get new ones and then sell me your old ones?
Yeah, good question. So what happened? Well, we'll just use it on Jeff. Actually, his is an 88 millimeter single turbo 426
purple car
Charger Hellcat, the purple one that we have here. Last year, sadly, we had an incident where he melted a couple spark plugs at a racing event. So we hurried up, put new spark plugs in. Sadly, at the track. The damage was done. It turned out he melted a piston a little bit. Okay, so obviously it turns into what was it? Yeah, everybody that didn't know anything started blaming me. That's fine. Well, after diving into what we found, putting them in our injector cleaner, we had a couple injectors that weren't flowing like the others, and sadly, what happened is they were flowing less than the other. We have two machines here, so we cross-reference and switch it over. Turns out it followed the injectors to the new machines. So we are faced with what do we do? Do we repair, rebuild, or do we get new ones? This is what I'm going to tell you. This is an injector dynamic. I have no problem saying. We will send them in, and they have their much more advanced machines over ours, and they will flow them, and they will rebuild them to spec. They will not send them back to us unless they will meet the specifications that they want. So when you have a program like that, refurbished items sometimes are better than brand new items that might be old. Reason why? Refurbished items get the greatest, latest technology based on what they have at that given time and what they've learned. So if you send a set of injectors off and, the ID themselves, the company that makes them, flows them, corrects them, rebuilds them, and says, hey, we're comfortable, there's nothing wrong with that. So in this situation, we chose to do that from a financial standpoint, right? To buy a set of ID 1700s, 2400 plus, and it'll be quicker. But a couple $100 later, we can have some rebuild injectors by ID themselves that will make sure they flow as good, if not better, than new ones. So
right.
There is nothing wrong. So could you repair your injectors? Absolutely. Should you? Not a problem at all. I would recommend to do it via the actual source, so through the manufacturers themselves, because if they tag it and say it's as good as new, you have that to stand behind. So could you, should you? Absolutely. Repair an injector, why not? But I would say go with the manufacturer. So what's next?
I was on a deep dive on Facebook last night, and I saw something that maybe information may not be. Could you, should you, head stud, main stud, a stock motor, let's just say 5.7 for the sake of simplicity, and throw a ton of boost at it and expect it to make a ton of power and live, thinking like 800, or is that just unrealistic?
So
it's like a
that's not a could you, should you. That's kind of so yeah, you can throw head studs in any vehicle stock. It does, what that does is reinforce clamping force, right? That reinforces the grasp of the heads to the block. Now, when you say 800 horsepower, you can make 800 horsepower on stock head bolts, but the stud comes into play at very, very high boost. Now, so that's one of those. Studding it reinforces it, right? So example, anytime we do a cam and a Hellcat, since it's apart, we throw some head studs in it. Just reinforces it. We've made 1,300 horsepower through a stock engine Hellcat and never lifted a head, right? So again, is it, could you? Sure. Need you? Should you? It's not required, but it's not bad. There's no negatives to it. Now, if you're building an engine for big power, absolutely stud it. The second part of that question is expecting it to live. No, you can't double and attempt to triple horsepower of an engine and expect it to live. Do we have customers that push limits? Do we have people that, you hear that, and this comes from the junkyard LS world, right?
Yeah.
These guys buy 5.3s, take them apart, gap the rings, throw them back in, and then make 1,000 more horsepower for hundreds of pulls, and then they blow it up and then put a new one in. They know it's going to blow. They don't have an expectation of it living. They can make power, and same thing, you can make power. It's just how long. It's luck of the draw, don't expect it to live. Can you get some life out of it? You can, but how long? It could be 5-track pulls. It could be 100-track pulls. There's no gauge or way to truly say how long something like that is going to live. The other thing, going back to it, for anybody that thinks otherwise, it doesn't matter how much money you put in the engine. It doesn't do any differently, right? You could spend 30 grand on a long block, and it can blow up, right? They're not invincible. Again, we're relying on mass-produced parts and so many variables that go into play that can affect the longevity and reliability. That nothing is perfect. You can't rely on a head gasket to live just because they say it can. You can't expect the rod not to break because they said it can handle 1,400 horsepower. Things still break. That's why a perfect comparison is Hellcats make 707 horsepower, from the factory, but they break and they have warranties on them because they break. So why do you think it's any different when we are doubling and tripling the horsepower, even though we might double and triple the cost of what we put into it, but there's still the potential of breaks, and we use this example all the time. Pro mods, alcohol engines, everything. Several $100,000 engines break. They go to the racetrack with multiple engines in their trailer because they are waiting for it to break.
They know what's going to happen to that power.
So your little $20,000-$30,000 motor is not invincible to the world. You know what I mean? So that's just the understanding. You got to respect what power it can do, and I will say, modding vehicles is not for everybody. The further away from stock you get, from internal modifications to power to the amount of items you change,
suspension,
anything. The further you get away from it, further you get away from it, the less stock and reliable it will be. I don't care how much money you spend on it. Now, what we have to assess is if you spend $30,000 on a proper motor, $10,000 on a good trans, $5,000 on a proper fuel system, $10,000 on a proper power header. Can you drive around with 800, 900, 1,000 wheel horsepower more often and reliable than a stock setup? Yes. But again, as we start increasing that number and the abuse of what you're using it for, the reliability drops. So even on a everything built car for 1,500 wheel horsepower, it can still blow up at 1,000 wheel horsepower. You're relying on, if you break down the physics, the amount of pressure and the abuse of everything that's going on, especially on this platform with how heavy they are. Most of these people, most of my customers, we don't sit there and gut these things and turn them down to 3,200 pound cars. These are full weight, 4,500 pound, 5,500 pound, 7,000 pound vehicles. So, you gotta have that respect and understanding. So, maintenance as well.
Yes.
I saw somebody about CNC.
Oh.
Yeah, Wade, our CNC machine was supposed to be wired and plumbed and installed today. Haas called us this morning and goes, sorry, we have to change on you again. So another reschedule, sadly. But yeah, so anyways, it doesn't matter what money you spend on it. You're having that risk when you're making power. And the more power you use at any given time, the more chances of any type of failure. So doesn't matter the dollar you spend.
As well as what Ben mentioned, maintenance.
Maintenance is something,
is huge. It's not, I can do 10,000 miles on my oil and...
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like a stock vehicle, the more on the maintenance you are, proper maintenance, injector cleanings, changing spark plugs, changing oil, and understanding what temperatures do and how to abuse a vehicle with it. You know what I mean? That's where, you still, that's just as important, if not more important. If you go to the racetrack, do maintenance a little sooner, right? Don't go to the racetrack a handful of times and think, I'm going to go 3,000 miles on this oil change. No, you just beat the hell out of it. Oil is, even race oil is not designed to sit in there and be abused in that manner. So maintenance goes very long as well as the expectations. So,
whoops.
What else you got?
I don't follow that.
Yeah.
It depends on the goals, but dropping pistons and rods or leave stock until a real build is available, real engine build. I would say that 100% depends on the overall power goals and what you want to use the car for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and so again, dropping rods, pistons are, bulletproof. They're not invincible, right? So that depends on what your goals are for the vehicle. I've seen dropping rod pistons fail as well. So the risk you take if you don't upgrade things at a given time as you're increasing power is what happens if it fails before I get there. Okay, and what some people don't think about sometimes, I'm going to use an example. So you have a turbocharged vehicle. Okay, this is an extreme. It's happened, and there's actually, you go way back a few years, a vlog we actually did about it. Turbocharged vehicle, and you drop a valve. Okay, valve head breaks off. Okay, now where does that valve head go? That's a great question. Does it break up? Are you lucky where it just disintegrates into tiny little pieces? No. Normally what happens in a situation like that, and again, if you search back on our YouTube, we have a video of it. We had a valve drop because the wrong valve was used on a head when we requested it from an engine builder. That's all I'm going to say. The valve basically melted. The head fell off, bounced around inside the engine, destroyed that. Part of the valve broke and went through the intake side because it was an exhaust valve. Part went past the intake valve, went up, and then spread out through the intake and went into multiple cylinders. So we had a bunch of scorage going on in cylinder walls, okay, throughout, and then the valve itself went out the big open hole because it got smashed down and could now fit through the opening and destroyed both turbos. So a valve dropping destroyed a complete engine, which was a completely forged, stroked motor. The block was useless. Most of the pistons were useless, okay? So, destroyed a motor. It destroyed both turbos. And then it also destroyed an intercooler as well.
Yep.
So, a valve falling destroyed everything.
All of it.
All of it.
Gun
okay?
smoke.
So, when you talk about, should I just add everything else around it and then wait for the engine to fail? Well, in this instance, if you would have put a twin turbo setup on it, and everything like that, and this valve dropped, then you just destroyed your twin turbo setup, needing a new intercooler, intake manifold, and so on and so forth. Heads needed machining again, so you're setting yourself up. In this instance, the rod didn't, exit the block, but the block, because it was already stroked and bored, wasn't usable again, so we had to get a new block, right? So, on a stock setup, you might be okay. You bored, bro?
Nope.
Yawning?
Nope.
You can't cover with the paper.
I'm not breathing.
Oh, man. So these are things to consider. The risk is there, and we boost stock vehicles all the time. Just had a compound boosted Trackhawk that made almost 1,100 wheel, got picked up today. And we had that conversation, that the higher you hit that up button, the higher the risk. And, we talked about next steps and how to reinforce and improve. So the risk is always there. I understand budget-wise, you got to do what you got to do, and there's ways to still have fun and increase the power, but understand the risk that you do take. So, good question.
Should you change shocks to a more race-oriented shock? Switch out the rears?
Should you? I mean, we have cars running 1.2 60 foots on stock suspension setups. So, again, I guess it depends on the actual true application, the power output you're making. My personal Hellcat, Charger Hellcat, when it was twin turboed, I cut high 1.2, low 1.3 60 foots. I had the A80 drag kit for the hard components, but stock springs, stock shocks with a DSC controller, and at 4,700 pounds plus on the race weight, we cut 1.2, 1.3 60 foots. Have plenty of other cars that cut 1.2 60 foots on stock suspension in regards to springs and shocks. So, depending on what your application is, are you full on race car, and you're going to have the ability to fine tune it at any given event? Sure. I think the capabilities of the adjustable magnetized suspension on these things is killer and very functional.
And comfortable in the street.
Yeah, especially for a street car, still have the comfort of it. Where if you go drag only, where it's a solid setup and you have to put the settings into it, you're stuck with that suspension. And as we know, once you get into big power where you need a stiffer style setup for the suspension, not very comfortable driving down the street sometimes. Yep.
You're
the
firing it like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's one of those where, again, we're mainly street cars, right? That we like people racing. We like going fast in street cars. I'm a big fan of the factory suspension and the capabilities paired with the DSC controller and then reinforce everything around it to be stronger. You can cut some killer time. So I don't see a full advantage or benefit getting rid of that. Now, 392 cars or 5.7 cars that don't have that, absolutely having the adjustability, totally different, right? If we focus on the Magna Ride or adjustable ride suspension cars, they have a very nice setup in place. Can't forget about you non-guys. Then yes, that's where you can benefit your 60-foot by getting a drag-specific or race suspension component put in place that allows tuning. Requires more to it, and you have the capability to adjust it at will, so there are benefits there. But that adjustable factory suspension setup, I think you should stick with that.
Should you ported blower on this is more Hellcat, ported blower on a 93 setup, and then also what are the advantages? Do you gain boost, lose boost? What does it really do?
All right, so porting a blower, what the services they provide is they mainly port the snout and then the bearing plate, which holds the rotors in place, the bearings for the rotors in place. So by improving that, it allows more airflow to go in. What you need for that to maximize the potential is a larger throttle body as well. So generally on a ported blower setup, you get a larger throttle body, ported snout, and the ported bearing plate with HD or race bearings installed as well, so it allows for more abuse. What it does, at equal RPM normally, so rotor RPM, you don't change pulley setup, and you put that larger throttle body in, what it can net you is more boost at a lower RPM or rotor speed. So the benefits are you don't have to spin a blower as fast to achieve more boost. So efficient. In regards to a 93 setup, again, normally on a Hellcat powered vehicle, we'll talk stock bottom end. We are trying to target around 15, 16 pounds of boost at most if you got good 93. So generally you don't want to throw a ported blower on with the larger throttle body if you're pulleyed, with our level 1 package, for example, our 286 upper, because then you're going to make a couple pounds more boost, which puts you outside of the safety range, right? What it does allow you to do is you can, achieve our level 1 boost level with a larger pulley, meaning you can slow the rotor speed down and make the same power. Slower rotor speeds means less parasitic drain and less temperature. Because the faster you spin it, the more temperature and the more parasitic drain you will see in regards to efficiency. So, perfect example we've referenced before on my personal Charger Hellcat is a 310 upper with a stock red-eye engine. It's on a 2.7, 310 upper. And I'm making about 880 wheel horsepower on E85. Just that. So, our level 1 normally makes about 860 give or take on E85. So essentially I'm making more power because I don't have to spin the blower as fast. So it is beneficial. We posted up the cam car that we did a couple weeks ago, or last week.
Yeah.
So that one gives you a perfect example. He ported the blower, but we're not going for more boost. He's right at 15 pounds, and it made 850 wheel horsepower on pump gas and 950 on E85 with 15 pounds of boost. Because we ported the blower, the cam and headers dropped his boost, and the ported blower increased the boost back where we were. So we made this a very, very efficient setup, so it doesn't need a lot of horsepower or boost to make the horsepower. So I wouldn't just do it on a 93 car unless you want to run a larger pulley, or it's a great combination thing to do if you're camming the car at the same time to offset the boost loss from turning the engine efficient. You make the blower efficient, and it brings back the boost. So we'll do one more, because this one went on long, and we'll save the questions for next week.
For a non-Hellcat, should you, PD blower or centrifugal for daily driving?
That's up to you. PD blower being on the top like a Hellcat, immediate torque that, it hits the boost right away.
Oh, yeah.
So that real on-off pedal feel if you want that low-end torque. Great for that. Centrifugal blowers are smoother on delivery. They're linear, meaning they start low, go high. The higher the RPM, the more boost they make. So very drivable and friendly when it comes to, power delivery. You still get a bump of power, but it's not as drastic down low, but it really pulls up top. So that's all personal preference. Naturally, we're pro turbo here.
Oh, yeah.
So a centrifugal blower is kind of a hybrid of both, right? It's a turbo blower that's mounted off, still belt driven. So we're fans of that, very streetable, but we do a lot of PD blowers as well that are very streetable. Hellcats come with them. It's just the boost delivery. We are big fans of centrifugal, and having the ability to cool the air off of sitting on the engine where it's not heat soaked as much, we're fans of that as well. But, if you have a proper intake manifold, or proper cooling for your PD blower, a nice icy chiller on it for using the AC to chill it, you can get still efficient out of it. But it is all personal preference. You want that real hard hit, low mid-range, and more heat soak up top, or do you want that linear boost where it's lighter down low and just keep pulling up top? Entirely up to you. So this is nice, long, with a lot of information. So thank you for chiming in as always. I'm going to say it again. Hopefully next week that CNC will be cutting. So
let's go.
We'll wait to hear from them. But thanks for checking in.
Hats, T-shirts, catch cans, valve covers, self-install level 1, 2, 3 packages. whatever you want, hit us up. We can get it for you.
All right, guys.
So.
Thanks again. Have a good weekend.